All right, we are live. Good afternoon, evening. Good evening, everyone. I am back in the studio. Sorry, we're a bit late. How many minutes is that? 5 minutes? All right, sorry about that. Okay, the session with Chino dragged a little, and so we had to go backstage and then come back in. So welcome to the PTM Conference 2021. Whoop, whoop. It's the Baby Steps to Purpose Conference, and in a few minutes we will have with us Tega Omogo. Tega is a coach, right? And Tega's expertise is working with people who are dealing with challenges with drugs, right? Tega has been there and done that, and she's worked with so many people. And people from different age category. So you'll be amazed at how young, right? You'll be amazed at how young children are being drawn into the habits of, drug abuse and all of that, even these days. So these are some of the things that Tega is going to be talking to us about. We are a bit late already, so there's no need to waste time. I'm just going to bring her right on the screen, and then she will take it from there. So thank you very much for hanging in there. Thank you. Please give StreamYard permission to show your name on Facebook by just clicking the link and accept, giving that approval. It's a 1 minute or 30-second step actually. So click on the link up there. The link, you see it up there, on the post, and then you can give access, and then so that when you post your comment, we're able to see who is commenting. All right, Tega is coming on. All right, Tega, it's good to have you, Tega. Welcome. Sorry, we took some of your time over
It's
delay.
fine. It's very well. It's very fine. I was having a good time actually. I just thought she was teaching deep stuff, and I thought it was amazing, really amazing. These are things that parents don't want to hear, but unfortunately they must be spoken about.
It is. It is. All right, Tega. So I'm not going to talk much, right? We have your we have your profile. We'll put your profile up, okay, after this, and people can know more about you, right? So just go ahead, tell us a bit, and then shoot. I will leave the stage for you. All right, Tega.
Okay, hello everyone. Fantastic. I don't know if I can share the screen. I will. If I can't, I'll just go ahead anyway. So my name is Tega, and I'm a drug use counselor and a recovery coach. Like she said, it's not like I decided that I was going to do this. I didn't read this in the university or anything. It was one of those things that I stumbled into because of what was going on, what had happened with me, and what I saw that was going on with quite a number of people. And so it appeared like, well, it's something that we need to actually be talking about, having the conversations about, because people don't want to have these conversations. Unfortunately, they are conversations that must be had because it's what is helping us. There's this saying that the family is the bedrock of society. And so where we should start all these conversations is actually in the family. We can't have the conversations in school, not necessarily. They can have them in school, but there's a limit to how much. We can't leave all of this. Some things you can't leave to teachers. You can't leave some things to, to people out there. So this is me trying to share my screen. I hope this works. Hold on 1 second. And then my topic actually is talking about drug use. The things, what your child should know about drug use. That's what I'm talking about today. Sometimes they think that, no, we shouldn't tell them. I've heard a parent say that don't talk about these things with your children, because if you do, you are going to be teaching them, these things. But unfortunately, I beg to differ. The reason I beg to differ is drug use, if you don't teach your children stuff, somebody else is teaching them. There's a saying, I think it's that book, what's it called now? As a Man Thinketh.
Your screen is up. I can actually see your screen.
Oh, fantastic. There's a saying in as can you guys hear me? Can you hear me, Mary Beth?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Fantastic. Okay. So there's this saying, I think it was in this book I read, As a Man Thinketh. It says that your mind is a garden, and whether or not, hi, Onyinye. Thank you. Good to see you too. It says that as your mind is a garden, so whether you cultivate it or not, it is actually producing. Whether or not you are producing, whether you're cultivating, something is growing in there. It's either growing proper flowers or proper plants, or weed is growing. So you must actually be intentional about this. So if you don't teach your children, someone else is teaching them, because their minds are supposed to grasp. They're at that age where they're curious and everything is coming, everything is going to be coming to them. Now, I'm talking drug use. Now, the thing about drug use is addictions. I don't know if you're following my slides, just let me know. If I'm too fast or it's not following, just let me know as well. Drug use versus drug abuse. Drug use is the using of illegal substances for feelings of euphoria or for medical purposes. And then drug abuse is the use of legal drugs for illegal reasons. We all know what this is. It's very self-explanatory. Then drug use statistics over the past year, and this statistics was 2019. And so what they were trying to say now was that in 2018, the statistics for drug use as of 2018 was that 15% of the adult population in Nigeria, around 14.3 million people, reported a considerable level of use of psychoactive drug substances. And this is actually from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, that's UNODC, from the European Union. Now, the weird thing about this, I keep saying this thing, that this was 2019, one. Two, not everybody that did drugs in 2018 was recorded in these statistics. The reason I say this is because this was probably got from data from facilities that treat people, maybe inpatient facilities that treat people on drug use. How many of them really? How many people really go to facilities for treatment? Many people don't go. Many people don't report, because first of all, Nigeria is a nation that hardly collates data. So when you don't have enough data, how do you know exactly what the proper number is? Even something as easy as population census, to gather the proper census, they say we're 201 Nigerians. I beg to differ. If we check it, I'm sure we're 420. Something, well, we know we don't collect data in this country. They didn't count me. I'm sure they didn't count my household. And my parents had 8 children. Out of the 8, I have 15 nieces and nephews, plus their spouses. They didn't count my whole family. So we are 420 Nigerians. So if they tell us that for 14.3 million people actually had, used drugs the year before, chances are it is more. It is definitely more than this. Those are the statistics. And they say it's from the ages of 15. Unfortunately, now the thing is actually getting lower. It's not even 15 anymore. When I go for school outreaches, I ask questions. Okay, UNODC tells us when we go for trainings at the UN, they tell us that, look, don't tell them the drugs. Don't teach them. We agree with them and say, okay, we will not teach them. We will not tell them, because they say, they're curious, they want to know. I agree. So after I had the first training with the UNODC in the class, I got into the school to talk about drug use. And then the first thing I asked them is, so who knows what drugs are? And this was a class of 9-year-olds. And in talking to them, of course, there are a few naive ones, just a very few. They'll tell you paracetamol, vitamin C. Yes. They will tell you all those kind of things. Malaria medicine, artesunate. There are few that say that. But 80% of them know exactly what you're talking about. They will tell you, oh, marijuana. They will tell you heroin. They will tell you cocaine. So if they at that age, 7, 8, 9, already know about heroin and cocaine and codeine and all of those things, why are the parents burying their head in sand and saying, no, I will not teach my child about drugs yet because I'm exposing them to drugs? To what end? Because the truth is, they know if you don't teach them, someone else is teaching them. What is addiction? Addiction is when one obsessively thinks about or compulsively uses drugs or alcohol, well, drug addiction in this case, despite having negative consequences. When you know that this thing is actually, it has negative consequences on you, but you are still going ahead and using it, then you actually know that you have a dependence issue. And when you are dependent on something, it means you're addicted to the thing. In layman terms, I like to use this phrase: addiction is forming a habit that turns around to form you. When I say it turns around to form you, what I'm actually saying is when people want to refer to you afterwards, when someone has been doing drugs, they'll say that boy that uses, that boy that used to, or they will just look at you, and then the habit of taking the drugs that you are taking has now decided to form you, form your own actions, form your own behavior, form your own relationships. Now you know how what mental health is. Mental health is being able to perform, do your day-to-day activities despite the everyday pressures that you have to live with, being able to be do all your day-to-day things. So now imagine having a habit that now begins to form you because you can't even do anything unless you use a particular thing. Now, when you hear people say stuff like, oh, marijuana, no, how about, we all of us used to smoke marijuana now. You know how they talk about, people just say, is it not Igbo? In fact, recently I had a talk with adults, full-grown adults, and then I was talking to them, and we started talking about marijuana. And then one of the guys gets up and says, well, he's not trying to challenge what I'm saying, but he's just trying to say that he knows a lot of professionals that they can't, that they function better when they are high on marijuana. For me, on its own, that parent is a red flag, because that parent is not going to see anything wrong with his child doing that. And marijuana, whether you know it or not, is like a gateway drug. Before you know it, when you start using marijuana, when you develop tolerance, you start to look for something that is going to give you the same feeling you got the very first time you did. And because you've used it over time, your body has become tolerant to that amount. You have to take something a bit higher to get you that same feeling of high. If you even check it, even try with something like a bottle of Coke. When you drink a bottle of Coke the first time, there's that thing that it does to you. Maybe the first one you drink in the day, you just always feel that feeling of, oh my God, I needed to get this thing to just zone myself in. To get that zoning in again, that for you to get that feeling again, you want to drink a second bottle and drink a third bottle. This is what it is that happens. Now, addiction is generally characterized by tolerance, which is what I was just talking about, where you need to take a bit more to get the same feeling you got the very first time that you were using it. Withdrawal is when you stop using and then your body starts to crave for it. Physical cravings. Some people, you see them begin to itch. Some people, you see them shaking. Some people become restless. Some become irritable. Some become agitated. Those are physical cravings. Then emotional obsession. Those are some of the things that is characterized by, I hope this thing is actually, the slides are following, Mary Beth, because I can't see whether it's changing. Now, there are doorways to drug use. There's personal trauma, there's societal pressure,
The
stroke peer
slide is not
pressure.
changing really.
Wow.
It's been on the teens and substance abuse. It's okay, Tiger, move on.
Let's just move on.
We
Okay,
are
let's move.
good.
And we tested it and it was working earlier. Okay, whatever. It is what it is. Okay, so the doorways to drug use, there's personal trauma, there's societal pressure, stroke peer pressure, and there's family dysfunction, which is very strong. Now, societal and peer pressure is something that many people don't even, we actually don't understand how bad it is. Personal trauma is also very strong, but family dysfunction actually is more connected to the two. Family dysfunction causes trauma in itself because, like I said, the family is the bedrock of society. So when the family in itself is not the formed in shaped in the way that can help the child shape their minds and shape their decisions, chances are the child will be traumatized. Now, there's a test that we do for people now when I take people in for counseling, and because that drug use in itself is not is a symptom of a deeper problem. Drug use, I will still get to that slide. When people use drugs for different reasons, you don't just wake up and decide that you want to be a drug user. There are different reasons that people start to use drugs. They don't just wake up and say, oh no, it's important for me to I just want to be high for the sake of being high. That's not true. Drug use is a symptom for a deeper problem. Many times we already have traumatic situations. Like I say, ACEs, that's adverse child experiences, is we have a test that we use to identify if someone has had some form of trauma in the first 18 years of their lives. And then when I get people come to me for counseling, I make them take the test. When they take the test, when they have more yeses than nos, you know that there's some trauma that has happened there in their childhood. Many times it's sexual, sometimes is physical abuse, sometimes it's sexual abuse, but more times than not, it is actually domestic abuse, either verbal, emotional, or physical abuse going on in the home. When you do that to your child, you're pushing your child outside. And when you do such things, your children start to feel like they are unloved and they start to look for this love, because you know the truth about life is we are actually love beings. We are created to be loved. We're created to be loved. So when you don't find that love and acceptance in the place where you should actually ordinarily find it, they would go in search of it. And in the search of it is actually unconscious. They are not going on the streets and looking for, hey, who's going to love me today? That's not what they're actually doing. But because they're actually feeling rejected, they are going to be, their actions, their unconscious actions are going to be seeking validation and acceptance and love in the wrongest places. Now, when can you begin to have this talk about drug use? Now. You know the worst part, the reason why I wrote it even in block letters. I wish this slide should have been shared in block letters, because now I think it was on someone else's, I think it was Wendy's program. We had a talk on drug use and people were shouting, God forbid. I said, as at 2019, 1 in 5 homes had a drug user, because that's 14 point something million Nigerians, and they say we're 200 and something million. Let's say by 2025, chances are it will be 2 in 5. 2 families out of 5 would have had someone that has used drugs at one point or the other. And people started telling me back to sender, God forbid, God punish you, yada, yada, yada. I wasn't laying a curse. I was saying, according to the statistics and how far it's going, how bad it is becoming. It is getting really bad. Every day I share videos on my page. In fact, these days I've tried to limit the videos that I share, but I think I'm maybe going to share one today or tomorrow, talking about how these things are. The ones that I even shared are the ones that you can see. There are many that nobody goes around and talks about. Okay, start talking now to your children. Recently, a party was had in Abuja. I talk about this quite a lot. This was last year during the pandemic. And then so they gathered these children, and then you know those red takeaway cups, they put them there for people to drink. As you come in, you pick a cup at the doors, like, walking in, that's the first thing you have, like cocktails. It was supposed to be Chapman. And so they pick up and they drink and they go in. These children were, because of the lockdown, many of them had been at home. So I think they just chose to just go out that day. And then from 13, I think the youngest in that place was about 14. And then they just line the cups at the entrance. So when you come in, you pick a cup and go, you take your cookies. Those cookies were laced with marijuana. They were made with marijuana. They're called brownies, edibles. They say they're edibles now. Anyway, brownies. And then the cups that were there, they had boiled marijuana and mixed it with codeine, mixed it with a lot of things. That's what they call omigota. That's gota water. Now, this is what they mixed in the cups, but it's so sweet. It's so sweet. It tastes so good. And then they put the cookies there. So when you come in, you pick a cookie, you take a glass and you go. The thing is, it's highly addictive. So when you take, it's very sweet. You come back and you take more. By the time the party was over, there were about 30 kids in that place altogether. One child escaped. The reason she escaped was she called me and said, I don't know. Okay, no, she's actually not a child. She's like 18. And then she calls me and says, I got into this place and there is somebody that I saw. And I know that boy, anywhere he is trouble. I said, well, because she had just come out of rehabilitation center. So I was doing aftercare with her. And I said, If you saw him there, why are you still there? She said, I need to get out. I said, start running out of that place now. She said, look, I'm shaking. I can't even stay. I said, leave the car that you came with. Start trekking. I will come and get you right now. And then I left where I was and I drove to go and pick her up and we left. The following day, her friend called her and was really upset that why did you leave me there? She said, well, I didn't even know what was going on. I had to go back and take my car. Guess what had happened? You will not believe that the boys and the girls that were at that party, all of them were raped. They were all drugged and raped. Those drinks were laced, the cookies were laced, everything was laced in that place. So if you don't teach your children now to know that when you get to a party, there are some things you don't drink. There's some things you don't eat. If they open a drink in these days now, I'm sorry, we have come to that point. If you're not the one that opens a drink, don't drink it. If you're not the one that opens the drink, even the ones they even open for you, they find a way to slide drugs into it. So this is the thing. Teach them, talk about it now. Let them know these things now. If I knew half the things that I know now, if I knew them then, I wouldn't have lost all the time that I lost. I lost 13 years of my life being a party girl and being addicted to substances. 13 years. This is me that wanted to be a lawyer as a child. I never got there. I was a bookworm. I was extremely intelligent. I was a very gifted child academically, but I missed my way by the time I got into secondary school because nobody was necessarily paying attention to me. Nobody was telling me what it was I should know and what I shouldn't know. The truth is my parents probably didn't even know. My older ones didn't know either. So you need to educate your child. How old is your child? Has your child started going to school? Has your child started mixing with other people? Start to tell your child stuff. What narrative would you prefer that your child has? Would you prefer that your child has the narrative that you give to them or the narrative that someone else gives to them? Have you noticed that when you're talking to your child, if you want to teach your child there's something, your child will tell you, no, mommy, my teacher said, because it is easy for them to grasp from who they admire. So if they admire someone out there, which is a form of societal pressure, which is an unspoken, I wrote about this in my guide, Withstanding Peer Pressure. This is when they start to look at celebrities and say, oh my God, I love the way Davido did something. Oh, it's because of the way he smoked. Oh my God. Then they want to do it. That is pressure and it's unspoken. It is unspoken and is indirect. It's from celebrities, people that they admire from afar. So when you now let them know the things that they need to know, when they see stuff like that, it doesn't mean anything to them. They realize that, no, I don't want to put my hand into this. This is bad news. As long as your child is mixing with other children, teach them or else the streets will teach them. Their friends will tell them. Somebody was telling me about her 6-year-old, was telling her about popping Mentos in La Casera. When we were saying this thing in the beginning, everybody was looking at me and saying, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? But it's true. You pop it in, it bubbles out, and then when you drink it, it gives a form of high. And then they're using it. They're sniffing fire extinguishers now. They're keeping their urine. They put them in trenches. And then they will now be taking them one after the other. These are the things that happen. Educate your child. Educate yourself, then educate your child. So you need to know. So when we do conferences and, stuff like this, get involved. Come, talk about, ask questions. What is it that I need to do? What is it that I need to know? Find a way to ask these questions, because when you know, it's easier for you to help your child. No one knows your child as much as you do. When can we talk about this? Discern teachable moments. There are times when, like this man I was talking to in one of these speaking engagements I had, and he was saying that he notices that every time he's giving his child a bath, every time he's taking the child to school, those are the times that his child is talking to him. Those are the times that the child, he's dressing him up. That's when he will say, Mommy, Daddy, this is what Auntie something did to me. Find the time that is convenient for your child. You know your child. You know the time you spend with your child. So you need to know what times it's easy for you to just get through. And then when they say something, you know when to just chip in the stuff that you need to chip in. I'm not saying call them to conference and say, hey, sit down on a chair. What is marijuana? Don't do that. They will not answer you. Catch them off guard. You're the parent. You're the smart one. catch them off guard, because these days these children are really smart. In fact, they will tell you, I knew that mommy was trying to get to me. So let them be the one to talk about stuff, then take advantage of it. So you need to discern the teachable moments, the moments when you can chip in stuff. Ask them what they know. Ask them what they know. But you must promise not to overreact. Because when you overreact, they will not talk to you again. So when you promise not to overreact, I beg you, in the name of all things that you hold dear, keep that promise. Keep that promise and do not overreact indeed. Tell them the effects. Like I said, go educate yourself. Know these things. Know them for real. Don't go to sometimes the internet will show you people that are going mad. Yes, there's some people that go mad, but there are also a lot of functional addicts. In the beginning, they appear like they're all okay. They appear normal. But the truth is the drugs is actually doing major damage to their central nervous system, to their respiratory system, and to their brain. So you need to know all of those things, understand those things, teach them the effects. Okay, reassure them of your trust in them after you have taught them. Someone says, again, parents need to be vigilant from when their kids start to play class or daycare. Yes, some of these facilities end up doing something else. I've been to a facility where nanny was giving the children Piriton tablets. Yes, those things happen because they those ones are in their mind. They are trying to actually make the child sleep so that they can have some peace. So yes, that works. Yes, sir. So reassure them of your trust in them. When you tell them the effects, tell them you trust them completely. I trust you. I know you won't do a thing like this. And if anybody comes to tell you stuff like this, share it with me. I won't overreact, and please keep that promise. Then when you have told them, reassure them of your trust. I beg you in the name of all things you hold there, trust in what you have put in them. Don't become paranoid. Don't start running after them. Every day you are checking their phone. Every day you are going, asking their friend, is he smoking weed? How is he? Don't do that, because when you do that, you lose their confidence. You make them lose their confidence. They will lose trust in you, and they will begin to do the things that they think that you are going to, that you think they're doing anyway. I heard something profound yesterday. Do not flog when you have not loved. Love your child. Many of the children that are loved, they tell you, this thing, if I do this thing, to break my mother's heart because my mom loves me too much. Let your child know that you love them. Let them know that you love them. And when you let them know that you love them, it's easier to correct them. Because if you correct a child that you have not loved, that child will rebel. They will do this same thing that you are telling them not to do. Now, stages of addiction, there is experimental. Most teenagers are in the experimental stage. In the beginning, from that 9, 10, they're in the experimental stage. They're not doing anything serious. That's the time to have this conversation. In fact, before then, so that when they're experimenting, many people experiment and then they decide they won't go ahead with it. When you find they're in the experimental stage, you can have the conversation, let them know. And then if they need to talk to someone, if they're dealing with something, have them talk to someone before it gets into heavy use. Once you start getting into heavy use and then it gets into addiction, you are looking for probably rehabilitation and detoxification. But in the experimental stage, which almost every young person goes through, except a very select few, if anybody is going through experimental, don't panic. I know it's weird to say, don't panic. Many of them experiment, because their friends have told them, oh, if you drink it, you'll be like this. They experiment. Do not panic. Have the conversation. Have them talk to someone. Find a professional. No, I'm not saying you should now take them to a therapist. Please stop taking them to your pastor and saying, no, let my pastor lay hands on them. No, stop it. Please stop it. Stop taking them, stop reporting them to everybody. There's this my uncle. He has a son that did this thing. You need to go and talk to him. There's this cousin. Stop it. You are actually just exposing your child, one. And two, you are going to make this child rebellious, because one day the child will get up, stand up to you and say, what is it? And the child will continue to do it. Have the conversation. Reason with them like if they understand what you're saying, adult to adult. I am talking to you because for you to be doing drugs, you have become an adult. So let me talk to you adult to adult. Speak with them as people that understand what you're saying. Why do people take drugs? Peer pressure, to fit in, make friends, and all of that story, to get mind altering, to party, illness, many times even study. Okay, Akugo says, do not flog when you have not loved. Yes, you can't flog when you have not loved. Because when you flog when you have not loved, the child will say is hatred. And once your child perceives that you hate them, you've lost that child completely. You've lost that child. because the child will never ever see reason. I know many children now, many of them are even pastors' children. They will tell you, if I leave this house, I'm never coming back. I'm never coming back to this house. So you need to let your child know that I love you, everything that I do. In fact, when I'm counseling, I keep telling them, I'm sure you know that your parents is doing this thing out of a place of love. They'll say, yes, I know, but the approach is what I don't like. The approach is what I don't like. So we need to understand all of that. Then there are drug types. When you hear a child say, no, I take marijuana, it gives me inspiration. See, the truth is, drug types, they're stimulants, and their effect is increased alertness. And stimulant, marijuana is actually a stimulant. So it actually helps increase alertness. Their sedatives, central nervous system slows down. Those are alcohol, those are also depressants, alcohol and tranquilizers. It makes you slow down. Painkillers, suppress pain receptors, all of that. Hallucinogens, cannabis, which is also marijuana, actually makes people hallucinate. That's why they say that there is a direct relationship between marijuana and psychosis. Hallucination comes from cannabis, feelings of enormous energy and hallucinations. Alcohol, well, is also a sedative. It slows down your central nervous system, and then it's a depressant. The solvents, glue, paint, fuel. Those are types of drugs. Now, short-term effects: euphoria, high levels of energy, increased heart rates, anxiety and paranoia, perceived increased confidence. Remember, see, I said perceived. They think that they are confident. I've seen a boy that in his dad used to beat his mom. I wrote about that in my book, Bust Their Bubbles. That's a guide for parents to know what to do and what to look out for when you find your child is doing drugs. And then the boy, his father used to beat his mom, and then someone told him that, he used to go to school and really be upset. And someone told him that, look, if you take this thing, it will make you stand up to your dad. So he needed to stand up to his dad to protect his mom. And so he now started using drugs. Before we knew it, he became addicted. Of course, he stood up to his dad, and that's another story altogether. I know someone else that her madam used to beat her quite a lot. And her neighbor now, to one of those days when they're beating her and throwing her out of the house, her neighbor told her that, let me give you something to give you confidence. She goes, she takes this thing. Of course, she gets confidence. When her madam tries to slap her again, she takes the pistol. You know the pistol they used to pound yam? She takes the pistol and hits her madam on the head, and the madam passed out. And then he had to rush the madam to the hospital. I think she was in a coma for months. This girl was arrested. So of what use was that confidence that it is that she got? Because when she came down from her high, as soon as the madam fainted, almost immediately her high cleared. The confidence had deflated. So perceived increased confidence, excessive sweating, reduced appetite. Those are some of the short-term effects. What are long-term effects? Jaw clenching, teeth grinding, feeling more powerful or better than others, hostility and aggressiveness, restless sleep, dry mouth and dental problems, regular colds, breathing problems, death from overdose, psychosis, muscle stiffness, depression, heart problems, increased chances of stroke, blackouts, memory loss, tremors, loss of the sense of smell. Those are long-term effects of drug use. What do you look out for? Now, this is for parents. What do you look out for when you see that if you are suspecting that your child is doing marijuana or doing any form of drugs? When you notice that your child is becoming absent from school, look a bit closer. Unexplained disappearance and being secretive. Unexplained, you just wake up, you don't know where he is. You're looking for your daughter, you can't find her, she just disappeared. Look a bit closer. Something is off. When they're becoming too secretive, look a bit closer. When they're becoming too secretive, look a bit closer. When their grades are declining, look a bit closer. For someone like me, I was extremely intelligent. I was always first in class. And then all of a sudden, my grades started declining. I went from one of the best students in Lagos State. I was even on scholarship in secondary school, to someone that came out of school with 4 P's and 4 F's. But it was a gradual decline, but nobody was noticing that there was a gradual decline. They probably just thought, well, maybe it's more workload or something. It wasn't more workload. It was plain substance use, and I was being a truant. Declining grades, new questionable friends. The friends you knew with them before, you can't find them again. Now the friends you are seeing with them, you can't understand what's happening. This friend every day is sagging his trouser. Every day when he comes to my house, he has like 14-year-old that has tattoos all over his body and all those kind of things. You begin to wonder what's going on here. I don't understand. You see your friends, the friends, they can't greet, they barely greet, they have bad character, they are rude, new questionable friends, because every parent has an eye, a third eye, especially mothers. They have a third eye for these things. You will just know that something is up here. I don't know how many of us are Muslims. I'm sure that thing is in the Bible as well, is in the Quran. I need to read the Quran. I keep saying this thing. Now, King Solomon in the Bible, there were two prostitutes. And what was it that happened? When that one slept on her child, she now quickly exchanged the child. I keep saying with this example that those two children must have looked alike. Because one dark kid and a light-skinned kid, you can't swap them now. That's a no-brainer. There had to have been a resemblance between the two children for that one to think she could get away with swapping the children. So that mother knew her child. That's why she was able to look closely and say, this is not my child. I think there's a version that says, this is not my child. So you as a parent, do you even know your child in the first place? So if you don't know your child, how do you even know that your child has changed friends? If you don't know your child, how do you know that the grades have dropped? If you don't know your child, how do you know that your child has changed? So how well do you know your child? That's the only assignment I give to everybody in this place. Go and know your child. Know your child. Know your child. There's a child that I knew. The mother, the boy, his mother was a petty trader, I think in Mpape, and then not Pape, sorry, one of these other areas. And then the boy, there was someone they used to call Capone in the area, and everybody kept saying Capone. Capone has him and his boys have robbed everybody. They've done this, they've done that. The mother said, I don't know who this Capone is. So they said, Capone never robbed you. They said no. Said, wow, madam, you are very lucky that Capone has not robbed you. And so that's how she left that matter. Sorry about that. So she one day the police just appears in her house and says that they've come to arrest her son, and she's really upset. Why you arrest my son? For what? And then she finds out that her son is the Capone. And then the mother starts crying and says it's not possible. In fact, one time they robbed her. Her son came home and says, Mommy, they say they robbed you. You say yes. He said, so how come? She said she doesn't. She said she doesn't know. But anyway, they've been robbing everybody in the area. The boy said, "Don't worry. 24 hours, all your things will return." Like a dream, like a dream. In less than 24 hours, everything was returned. Not knowing that the boy was the Capone that everybody in the area was afraid of. This woman didn't even know. Her son had been Capone from when he was age 12, and they arrested him at 21. So he has been Capone for 9 years under her roof. She did not know. When they were telling her, she kept swearing that it's not true. When they arrested the boy, she asked the boy, "Is it true?" The boy said, "Yes, Mama, it is me." So do you know your child? Go home and know your child. Please go home and know your child. Anyway, new questionable friends, frequent change of gadgets, loss of random valuables. You see that you have an old AC, you change the new one, you put it in the store, all of a sudden you can't find it. Every day he's changing phones. Today he has a phone, tomorrow he doesn't have, next tomorrow he's borrowing somebody's phone. After that, things are just getting lost. His iPad is getting lost. Tomorrow he has another one that you didn't pay for. Begin to understand that every day he's owing somebody. Somebody is with my phone. Let me give him 10,000. He will give me my phone back. Something is wrong. Begin to look closely. Loss of random valuables, old TV, everything old tire, everything is getting lost in the house. Too much or too little sleep. Excessive perfume use. That's one they use most times from marijuana because they don't want you to smell. Vicine, that's the eye drops. They use the eye drops so that you don't see how their eyes have become red or bloodshot when they have smoked marijuana. Drug paraphernalia, empty cough syrup bottles or empty plastic bottles. They use those bottles to make a hookah for smoking pot and smoking all sorts of other things. Tourniquets, that's that wire that they used to tie themselves. You know, when you go to do a test in a hospital, that's string that they used to tie to be able to get your veins. Yes, that's what a tourniquet is called. When you see them having tourniquets, you see spoons. What are you doing with a spoon in your room? Syringes, matches, lighter, ashtrays. Lying, unnecessary lies, slurred speech, sudden privacy, hostility when privacy is invaded, irrational mood swings, engaging in risky behaviors, sudden forgetfulness. begin to know that there is something that you need to look much more closely at. I'm not saying, you see, sometimes if your child is too quiet, all of a sudden they're becoming too boisterous. If your child is actually very, very, active, all of a sudden the child has become withdrawn. There are things that you need to start paying attention to. Those are the things that you pay attention to. So, what else? I think she just distracted me just as she came in. Anyway, so like I
Sorry,
said,
coming up, right? Sorry.
no,
Let me.
it's fine. No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm rounding up anyway. So this is what it is. When you begin to see stuff like that, begin to look closely. Whether we know it or not, drug use is something that is everywhere. It's in our faces. I was dealing with a case recently that the girl tramadol, the girl stopped taking tramadol, and the guy, the person that sells tramadol to her, started begging her that she should please take, that he would give her for free. And she was telling him she didn't want. In fact, her husband threw her out of the house, but the guy kept begging her she should take, but she still said no. It's everywhere. They will high people want to get you high. Everybody wants to find a way to just, and then when they finish, now record this thing and everybody is seeing it everywhere. Recently in Guarimpa, what had happened was I think they opened a new place. I had an outreach done, and so we went to one of these slums. It's crazy. Those places are actually bushes. It's forest. It's not even bush. You enter inside there to see them. You see learned people, people that are well read from good homes. You almost cry. There's a girl. The men, in fact, there's a girl that has been there since she was 15. She's about 22 now. She's been living in that place. She's from a very good home. Don't think because she speaks so well, speaks extremely well, but she's there. What happened? Her father married someone else, and her mom is late. So she decided that, oh, there's nothing going on here, and she left the house. Someone just invited her to come and let them go there. So teach your children these things. Give them a safe place to stay. I'm not talking about safety as in just physical safety. Give them a safe place emotionally to thrive. Give them a safe place to be able, let them be balanced in their minds, so that when it is that they go out and someone is offering them stuff, they can have the presence of mind to say no. They can have the presence of mind to decline. Allow them understand their goals. You see, a child, well, this conference is really amazing in the sense that if you don't let a child know their purpose early, they will fall for anything. They will think they're ordinary. Let your child know that you are a child of purpose. I wish I knew that I was a child of purpose. I took for granted what my life was. I took for granted what my life was completely. I didn't know what it was. I didn't think that I was anything. I just thought, well, just do as you like. Let your child understand what it is that they're meant to do. Let them know their goals in life. Let them understand their purpose. You may think that, isn't it too early for me to be telling them about goals and purpose and all of that? No, it's not. Because right now, one of the things we use in teaching people to get out of drug use is positive reinforcement. We try to let you know what it is, who you are, from what the core of you, what you are. Because if I keep talking about drug use and telling you, oh, drugs are bad, say no to drugs, I'm building in your subconscious what drugs are. But by the time I'm letting you know that you're a child of purpose, I'm telling you these are your goals. Put your goals ahead of you. If you tell a child, let them put their goals ahead of them. If somebody is trying to take your goal to give you drugs, that means the person is trying to tell you to sell your goals. If I had known, for instance, that, every time I'm talking in class to younger students, I'm telling them, what do you want to be when you're older? They will tell you stuff like they want to be a lawyer, they want to be a doctor. And I tell them, if someone gives you drugs, that's the person telling you not to actually become a lawyer. They will say, oh, is that how it is? I tell them, yes. It's not, they're not just giving you drugs to say, take and be high. They're actually stealing your future from you. So I give them the paint the picture of their future. Understand what this your future is. If you have that, you ask them, now you see this your mobile phone, you love it so very much. They'll tell you yes. If someone tries to steal this phone from you, what will you do? All of them will shout, no, I will fight. I won't let that person, I will fight for my phone. So why don't you understand your future and your purpose to be that thing that you fight for? Fight for it. So when someone offers you drugs, they're actually telling you that you should give your life on a platter of gold for nothing. And whether you know it or not, it starts with one sip, one sniff, one drag, one anything, and you never know if you lose 20 years of your life. So teach your children, educate yourself, and teach your children. There is no child that is without purpose. They say when God is sending a child to the world, there is a problem He has sent the child to come and solve. There's always something your child was brought to earth for. So don't be the one that will not teach your child, that will make them derail and not do what God said they should come and do, because you are answerable to God for that child. So thank you very much.
Very, very true. That. Thank you so much, Chega. You have said a lot of things here. I mean, parents are parents are raving here. Like, okay, wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much, Chega. You said a lot of profound things. Okay, and there's something that really, I mean, there's a lot of things you've said actually. I mean, if you're not teaching your children, someone is teaching them. So you better start teaching
Absolutely.
them anyway. You
Absolutely.
better start teaching them, because if you don't, some other person is going to teach them. All right, so we have some questions here. Let me just put some of them on the screen. Someone is asking, how can they get your guide? Very important. You know, I like guides, right? I like it when, I like it when coaches put guides together, because truth is, a lot of us have not come to that point where we can actually take books and then stay committed to reading those books to the end. Okay, and for some of us, it takes a while to finish the books. But with the guide, you can just pick it and you can run with it,
And you
right?
can read it
So
over and over again. Yeah.
over and over, yes. So someone is asking, how can they get your guide? Please let us know how we can get your guide,
And
because this
through
matter is a very serious matter.
and through Mary Beth, she's
Yeah.
anything you want through her, please. Anything you want through her.
Mhm. So how can we get your guide? The guide,
Through
where would we get it?
through you. Through you.
Oh, okay, through me. Okay, I didn't hear that part. Okay, yes. Okay, so you can get this guy through me. Just in the comments, just go ahead and put in the comments that you would like Tega's guide, and then I would do the I will liaise you, and then I will do the connection, and you will get the guide. All right. Okay. There's another question here. It says, one second, just let me find it. Okay, what do you do? Let me put it on screen. So what do you do if you find out when it's gone in deep? What do you do? I mean, yes, you did not pay attention. You were not, looking, you had not attended Tega's class. But here I am today in Tega's class, and then I go back and all of a sudden I find out, okay, true to what you said, there's been something going on. What do I do?
Your best bet is to just get professional help. Don't overreact. Like I always say, don't overreact. If you know that you are going to have the conversation and you're going to overreact, just get a professional to do it. Don't call family meeting. Don't go and start calling your grandfather, calling everybody, come and talk to him. He has killed me. Do you know the son of whom you are? Leave all those things alone. The time has
Hmm.
passed that you should have had that conversation. So the time now is to have the conversation with a professional. Ask them, is there something you want to talk about? Is there something bothering you? Because addiction is a brain disease. It has gone from experimental stage to actually full-blown addiction. It has become a compulsive behavior, which has become a brain problem. So you need to talk to a professional, get them into a facility if they need to. They might need to get into in um, inpatient treatment, or they can just get counseling and coaching, and it can help them unlearn what they have learned. So but anything you do, you need to get professional help, and please don't overreact. That's very important, because overreacting is counterproductive. It's
Yeah.
counterproductive, yes. So just get professional help. Get professional help. And I always say pray, because
Exactly.
I know someone that's done drugs now. I knew him um more than 20 years now. He's like a reject. Nobody wants to have anything to do with him. He's like a reject.
Wow.
He's just roaming the streets. So he's tried to go to treatment once. He came out, but he keeps going back. So many of these things, just get professional help and pray. And you see that anyway. Maybe I shouldn't say this. I say those things most times only in private sessions. When people say, "Oh, I took them for deliverance" and all those things, please just get professional help, because some of those things that they said they took them, and they took someone for deliverance, and then the place they took him to, they were flogging him every day. By the time they brought him to a facility that I was consulting for, I was in shock. I was in shock, because all that was, they just advised the parent, take him there for deliverance, and they were flogging him. His body had marks all over, all of his back. Another one, they took him to a guard room. Please don't do stuff like that. Find a professional that can help them unlearn what they have learned.
Because a lot of times when we take them to some of these religious places, what they're more concerned about is the child confessing. It's more like confess what you don't, confess what you've been into. So it's details around the issue. So we finish it. I mean, you beat them or whatever it is, you starve them, whatever it is that you do, and then the child begins to blot out all that he's done. It doesn't stop there. What would you now do to help the child afterwards? You pray. We're not taking the place of prayers out of
No,
anything.
never.
After doing all the work, we must go back to, we must even start with God anyway.
We must start with God, yes.
We must start with God. But we can't
even people that I work with, I pray for every single one of them.
Right?
I have to.
Exactly.
So prayer is important. But you see this thing about, that even with people that, when parents send their children to me and say, go to her, she'll counsel you. What I do with them is I tell them outright, if this child is not going to do this, I will not get involved, because I need a level of commitment from the child themselves. If that child is not committed to it, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time, you're wasting your money. They will only do what they want to do for that time, just to keep everybody quiet and get you off their backs. The moment you're off their backs, they're back to their behavior. So it has to be a lot of, motivational interviewing. Let them see the reason why they don't need these drugs anymore. That's what's most important. Why? What does the drugs do for you? Okay, what if we find a healthy alternative to what these drugs do for you?
Yeah.
Can we try it? And when we try it, how well did it work? Oh, fantastic. Then they begin to see that I don't really need this thing.
Yeah.
Instead of flogging me until I'm nearly going crazy, just find a professional to help you. Find a professional to help you. Yes.
When you were talking about reporting them to aunties and uncles, I could relate to that. At some point, I had to live with an aunt, and she was a religious person, and at some point, you're a teenager, and generally, it is just assumed that there's an ulterior motive to everything you do. So sometimes you're coming back from probably extra classes, and you're working with a set of boys and girls, like you're just classmates working, and then you come home, and then or someone passes you on the street, and it's a different thing that they've imagined. You're doing and all of that, and then you come home and they are calling this person and calling that person. It disconnects. It makes you as a young person disconnect.
Completely.
Like, where is the place of trust? I am telling you, this is what it is. Do you get?
Completely.
So sometimes as parents, in the bid to, and sometimes I say to my friends, some of the things you are so scared of is because of the things that you've been through. So we're projecting our fears in our children, and we're projecting the fear of other people's stories on these children, and we don't leave it at just being afraid. We practically deal with them based on this fear, and in doing that, we end up losing them.
Haven't you heard about the person that said that, I can't remember what it was, that I think in one of those comedians, he said, look, he saw one parent beating a child. He saw a parent beating a child, and then he came home and said, if you try that thing with me, and then he started beating his own child. What did I do that you are beating me for another person's crime? Do you understand?
So can you imagine this guy? Can you imagine?
Another person committed crime.
Let me beat it out of you before you even think about it.
Before you think about it. Do you understand? So those are the kind of things that actually happen. Those are the kind of things that we do. In Africa, we are like that. They will beat you. There's a way they will just make you feel as if that sin that your brother committed, don't even think, even if it's in your mind to commit it, let me beat it out. Because you have beaten me, I will commit that sin. Because you have beat me for that thing. It's double jeopardy now. Let me just go and do it because you already beat me for it. So what are you talking about? It's double jeopardy. And then these
Really?
children of this generation are smarter than what we were. There are things that
Yeah.
they pick up, and the internet has helped matters. Let me not say it has made matters worse. That's helped matters. So there's some things that just happen randomly. It makes your head even spin. You're wondering, hey, what is the problem here? But that's the truth. You must follow them based on what's going on. And parents need to just be ahead. Try and be ahead. If not, these children will hoodwink you so badly.
Yeah.
Hoodwink you. Be ahead. Know what's going on. Know what's going on all the time. We are asking. I went for a conference, pastors' children, and in speaking to them, they were over. Well, most of, not all of them were pastors' children, leaders, but it was a church setting, and most of them were, they had their. It was a big church, so all of them, parents, ministers, kids, and I'm asking them, what do you want to be when you're older? And lawyer, doctor. So I said, they were being slow and very uninterested. So I said, so who knows Whiskey? All of them were shouting, "Hey, Starboy!" I said, so who wants to be like Whiskey? Almost all of them. And then they were not, when I say, okay, should we drive your teachers out of here so you can talk? Yes, yes, drive them. We don't want them to hear what we're saying. Anyway, whatever the case may be. Parents should just
Okay.
educate themselves. Just educate yourself.
Yeah.
Arm yourself
Thank
with the
you.
right information. Yes,
Yeah, you said something profound. I mean, educate yourself and then you can educate your child. If you don't
absolutely.
educate yourself, so that's why we need to get things like guides, we need to get books and all of that. And
Attend
sometimes we,
conferences
we
like
pride
this.
go for conferences like this. Sometimes we pride ourselves with the fact that we know a lot already, and nobody can teach you how to parent your child and all of that. And these things create a mind block. It actually creates a block. I mean, I can't tell you how many parenting books I read, how many conferences I join, how many
Wow.
people. I mean, I make it a point to show up for their webinars weekly, just
Wow.
because there is still so much to learn in
Amazing.
the area of parenting. Because the truth is, I say every time, at every point, you are a new parent. You have not parented a 5-year-old before. I mean,
Absolutely.
your first child,
Absolutely.
at the point your child is 5, you have not parented a 5-year-old. When the child gets to
Absolutely.
7, you have not parented a 7-year-old. When the child
Absolutely.
becomes, you have not. So at every point, you are a new parent, and there are people that have
Absolutely.
gone on ahead of you,
Of
and you
you,
want to look
yes.
at for those who have done it effectively, so that you
Absolutely.
can learn from them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you. So thank you so much. Thank you so
You.
much, Chega. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
for making time. I think this is my network. This is not Chega. This is my network. My network is crazy now. So thank you. You can still hear me. Thank you, everyone who has joined. I can't see any more questions. Thank you, Omotayo, Yetunde, Onyinye. I see. I mean, there are a lot of people here. I see you all. So thank you very much. Some people have not allowed StreamYard to show us their name on Facebook, to show us their name on StreamYard. Please, for subsequent session, to just give that approval, and then we can see. I think you need to do it just once, and we can see it for the rest of the conference, so that when you make your comments, we know who is talking to us. So thank you so much, Tega. There's been so much to learn from here. We have learned that we need to learn in order for us to teach our children. We need to open the line for this communication in our homes. We cannot project our fears on our children. So yes, we need to deal with the situation as it comes, and not report them to everybody. Yes, there's a place of prayers, and there's a place of our faith, but we cannot take away the need for professional help when there is a need for one, and we cannot replace any we have with our children and knowing our children. Very, very profound. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much
for
for being a
having
part
me.
of this. So be with us to the end. I mean, pop in here and see what's going on.
Yeah, I will.
There's
I
so much to
definitely
learn.
will. Thank you. Thank you
All right.
so
Thank
much.
you so much, Chega. All right, then. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye. All right, people. So that is it with Tega, and she said so much. Please, we're going to share a lot of these punchlines. We're going to share them At the end of today, we'll share them with you, right? And then you can have these and use them. At the end of the conference, we're going to have a package that will have most of the learning from our participants, from our speakers and all of that. And you can have all of this in one place where you can continue to use them and use them to support your parenting. So thank you very much for being here. I hope you got value. Let us know in the comments. Please rave in the comments if you've gotten value. Say thank you to Tega. Okay, she didn't even tell us about her social media handle, but Tega is on Facebook, so you can just search for her, Tega or Mogul, and then follow her. Right? I mean, all of the speakers we have here doing this for free, coming here to share knowledge with us as a way of giving back. So let's encourage them by following them and then letting them know how much value we've gotten from the sessions with them. So I'll see you at 7 p.m. where we'll be here again to talk about how you can connect with the heart of your child, how you can parent the heart of your child with none other but Wendy Ologe. So I'll see you at 7 p.m. prompt when Wendy Ologe will take your screen and talk to us about how we can connect with the heart of our children in order for us to stay connected with them for the rest of our lives. It's a life thing, isn't it? All right, then. So thank you very much, everyone. I'll see you at 7 p.m. Bye. All right, so bye.